Hello and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Wednesday Warrior, sponsored by Power Card Games and Comics in bright and sunny, really bright and sunny Port, you in New York. My name is Skylar Hathaway.
I'm Chris Potter.
Bunch of cool music. Alright. We've got comics here. We review comics on this show.
Yeah.
In case you weren't aware. We do this weekly here at Power Card Games and Comics. And the reason why we do this show, I don't talk about this that often. We've done this, we've got to be on
probably the first and second episode.
30 episodes here. We're doing this because we want you to buy comics. We don't want to summarize these comics and then you not buy these comics. We're doing this so that you buy these comics.
Right.
So go out and buy these comics because the only comics that make it on this show are comics we think you should be buying. We wouldn't be doing this review if we didn't think these books are worth it.
Yeah, right. We don't even honorable mention all the stuff we read, just because some of it's not that good. We read it in spite that.
And note that we always have copies here whenever we're reading something. There are a few exceptions we've made over the course of the history of the show so far. Right. But we buy our books, we read our books, we show you our books. So today, we're going to start off, as normal, with our honorable mentions.
Right.
Which I think is just this one. It's The Plot Holes by Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy's the guy who did all the Batman White Knight stuff and other things over history. He's written a bunch. He's done a bunch of Batman work, and he did a bunch of American Vampire with Scott Snyder. He's definitely been around. It's the White Knight stuff that's claimed his fame, and he's worked on this Plot Holes book for a while now. It's been out. I think he kickstarted it or something like that, and now it's seeing actual publication, which is cool. And he's working on Zorro next, which will not make it to this show. But,
looks interesting. There's some good artists doing some stuff for it.
Yeah, it's mostly Sean Murphy. Yeah. He's writing and drawing the book.
There's some variant covers I saw that were cool. There was not Jeff Loeb, doesn't matter. Daredevil guy, Joe Quesada.
Yeah, speaking of covers that I saw, totally irrelevant to what we're saying, there was this Jeff Lemire Sandman cover I saw for the Sandman Golden Age that's coming out. Jeff Lemire's not somebody I love the art of, man, but it was really good. Yeah, it was like...
I remember some of those question covers were quite good.
Yeah. He's really situational with his art and how good it comes out, but it can be really
And I think
good.
he knows that.
Yeah, he probably does. Well, that's probably why he doesn't draw all of his books and stuff.
Yeah.
But Plot Holes was good. It's a bit heavy, but there's a lot of reasons why you should read it because it's a lot of fun. And it's playing on a lot of tropes about comics and stuff, similar to Local Man, similar to Something Epic. The person who's making this is obviously a fan of the medium and obviously knows the medium very well, so he can play with these things and not distract you too much from what's going on in the book. And you know, it's written a lot like White Knight too, with slow plot progression, with just a couple of beats of mystery and intrigue fit in between, keep you interested, keep you going.
Right.
The guys come down. Sean Murphy has definitely come up with a way of writing for his format, his own art style. It works really well. Then I got this variant cover by Corin Howell, who I'm a huge fan of. She's not going to be at New York Comic Con this year, which kind of sucks. But I got a commission from her last year, so glad I did that. To the task at hand, I suppose.
Sure. Do you want to mention that we're going to New York Comic Con, so we're taking a week off?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not already watching our shows, you're finding out now that it's October, and we're going to be busy with Halloween. I'm going to Mexico. New York Comic Con is next week. I'm impressed we're even getting this show out on time.
Yeah.
So, be weary, stay posted. Thank you for watching, and, bear with us.
Keep posted on New York Comic Con, too. If you follow that hashtag, you're going to see so much good art.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many good commissions that come out every year.
Oh, yeah.
General comic news.
I suggest that everybody goes. If you're a New Yorker, go to New York Comic Con.
Even if you're not a New Yorker.
I mean, if you're not a New Yorker, I wouldn't advise you to go because it's very expensive. But if you're a New Yorker, there's no reason why you shouldn't be at New York Comic Con. It's a very cheap venture for a New Yorker. But let's move on. Let's keep the show going.
All right.
We're going to open up with Batman 138. I'm going to do the summary on this one. So, we open the book with Vandal Savage, which is kind of a beat played off of Detective Comics, which I'm really appreciating, because that was my theory last time we read this thing. I was like, I think this is going to pay off.
And they totally confirm it in this book.
They totally do. So we open with Vandal Savage, which is a bit of a brave open, because this beat doesn't come back around until the end of the book.
And not only that, we're not opening with Vandal Savage because last book closed with Vandal Savage. Some time has passed, a significant amount of time.
But also, we are opening with Vandal Savage because we closed with Vandal Savage. Writing is writing. You got to keep things consistent.
Right.
This is built for the trade paperback. It wouldn't make any sense. You introduce Vandal Savage, move on to something different.
Yeah.
So Chris is right and wrong at the same time. But it's quick. It's a page.
Yes.
And he's like talking about his origins, and he's trying to lay some groundwork into where the story's going. And we're moving away from Zur-En-Arr a little bit, which is kind of nice. But I have a feeling the Zur-En-Arr beat's going to be something we continue to play back on constantly throughout this run.
For sure.
So that's been the beat so far, anyway. So then we move over to Batman is in the basement of Wayne Manor, presumably. And he's doing some weird brainwashing on Jason Todd. We'll beat that up in a moment. And so Batman he's a one-man force right now against the Reckoning. He is the Reckoning.
Yeah.
Being brought to Gotham against Catwoman and her various criminals that she's training to be of better human, better class of criminal in Gotham City.
Right.
So we move away from Batman, I think, right? And where does it go? We go with Nightwing, and he's trying to justify what the hell is going. He's just talking to the Bat fan. It's on a radio, right?
Oh,
I think
maybe.
in the last issue.
You might be.
Dude, I had the summary all good. And then I just
Nightwing is taking down the master computer. Apparently, there's a main database.
Oh, we're skipping parts. Bear with us here, Power Card Games and Comics fan. Oh no, you're so right. Yeah, he shows up at this place. It's Thomas and Martha Wayne's old home.
It's their first home or something.
Bruce bought it at some point. Not that important. There's a secret base in Gotham. Bruce keeps a super bat computer. And Nightwing has access to it, of course. And he shows up to use the Bat computer to remove Bruce Wayne's access to his own Bat computer.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, antagonizes Bruce. Bruce is there, knows Dick is going to go and do this, because what would Dick do in this situation if Bruce had put himself in the same situation Dick is in? And he is trying to prevent Dick from doing it, but more accurately, he's trying to get Dick to see reason, and Dick is trying to get Batman to see reason.
Yes.
They start fighting, because that's what these people do.
And Damian and Tim are also there, and they're also fighting.
Yeah. Damian, also... I think Damian shows up first.
He does.
To stop Dick.
I just didn't think it was really worth it.
Tim comes in, tackles Damian. Bat shows up to stop Dick. Nightwing tackles Batman.
Yeah.
Big note that I made a note of, Damian and Tim are fighting on the streets. Dick and Bruce are fighting in the apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually, Batman gets sent out the window. A 5-story window. I counted the stories.
Yeah.
5-story window bounces on the Gotham cement into a car. All right, we're gonna keep on going here, Chip Zdarsky. But all right, okay, all right. So Dick is still beating the shit out of him after that, even. By the way. I don't know how Dick. I think Dick takes the stairs. Funny enough, you don't see it. But Dick's down there super fast. There's no way.
Believe it.
There's no way he can jump 5 stories and be fine.
Yeah.
So Dick takes the stairs. He meets him downstairs.
Chip's a comedy writer. I'm surprised he didn't go for the obvious joke of the action happening outside and Dick's taking the stairs.
Because he would have to show Dick just being pissed as he's running down the stairs. I'm just pissed. I'm so pissed.
There's cartoon smoke blowing out.
Yeah. And so he gets downstairs. He starts beating up Batman again.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Jason Todd is being broken out of Bat Jail.
Yes.
By one of Catwoman's crew. Meanwhile, Catwoman is breaking out her crew out of a paddy wagon that is being. They're bringing the evil people, the evil women, to some jail or something.
I think that was also last issue. This is the one where Catwoman's getting ready to talk to Batman.
Nah, that happens too. But if you remember correctly. She's trying to tell Jason to come up with a scheme to distract Batman, right? Or is that also last issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is after all that. Jason is broken. We didn't really mention what happened to Jason. He is incapable of functioning.
You know why we didn't mention what happens to Jason is because we didn't bother to read Catwoman, and I don't feel like we missed enough for me to go and read that comic book. So in any case, Jason's being broken out, but by this woman named Marquise.
Yeah.
A Catwoman character that me and Chris aren't familiar with.
Yeah, okay. And what's happening to him is, like, whenever he gets an increased amount of dopamine, he also gets an increased amount of fear. He's like, they mention it.
I don't want to speculate on that quite yet because we don't know where that's going. He hasn't had an opportunity to really show us what the result of that is. Bruce kind of made it seem like he's put some sort of like Zur&R program in Jason Todd on some level to trigger him back to being some like emotionally driven, decent good boy.
Yeah.
Very vague. I'm not really sure what's happening with Jason Todd. I just know he's been brainwashed.
But when Marquise shows up, she like tries to get him to be her knight for whatever crusade she's about to plan. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah. And he can't do it. Like he can't even leave the building.
He says he can.
Yeah, I guess he could be faking.
And if you remember, one of the beats that they mentioned was that fear toxin.
Yes.
So I'm more under the impression that Bruce is lying to him. There's been no brainwashing. Okay. And he's just being dosed by fear toxin to an extent that it's driving his... He can't... At the moment, and probably for the duration of Batman's one-man war on Catwoman, he's trying to take Jason Todd off the table. I don't think that this is a permanent solution because I'm not convinced that Bruce is would do something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm also of the impression that, and I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be doing this summary here, but I'm trying to drive something. This is what the Weekly Wednesday Warriors for. Yeah. I'm under the impression that Bruce is doing this he's not as crazy as he seems, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I think the man has a plan, and I just don't think he feels like he needs to explain his plan to his kids, because his kids should know that he's Batman, that he has a plan.
Okay.
And like Dick Grayson going and telling Bruce that he shouldn't have brainwashed Jason is stupid, because Dick should realize that he didn't brainwash Jason, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
The Bat fam should be more onto what Batman is doing than Catwoman should be. Catwoman should be the one playing the role of, what are you doing, you know? How could you do this stuff? Or maybe even Tim Drake doing, like, being less understanding of what Batman might be doing, because that's kind of the character they're trying to, like, turn him into these days or something. Or even Duke Thomas, you know?
Who's not in this fucking book.
You know, and I noticed that when I was rereading the last issue, he did have a whole speech bubble in the last issue. You know what it was? Wow. He opens a door in the place that they were hanging out to do the meeting. Yeah. There's some dude tied up behind the door in the last issue. You remember that?
No.
They don't do anything with it with this issue. Chip Zdarsky! But there's a tied up dude in the room in the last issue. So obviously Catwoman's doing something not kosher. And they were going to play on that, and then we had Night Terrors too much, and Zdarsky forgot he put a dude in a room. So, alright, maybe they'll come back later. I don't know. Maybe Duke Thomas took that dude. We're going to get a miniseries, 3-issue Duke Thomas tie. Let's go. Probably not.
Yeah.
Alright. They're fighting. Jason Todd's broken out, but he's not broken out because he can't break himself out. There's, I don't remember if it's in this issue either, but there's a point where Damian makes a note that his dad's got like a robot hand, and he's kind of jealous of the robot hand. And then later, Batman's like, honestly, I should be like angry that I got this robot hand, but this robot hand's pretty sick.
Last issue.
This is mostly just a fight between the Robins and Batman, huh?
The issue ends, the police show up to arrest Dick and Tim, who Batman is like somewhat incapacitated. Right. He just kind of leaves them there.
Right.
He's letting them, their fate, take their course.
Right.
He's like, they're criminals now.
Right.
Whatever.
Right. And then, okay, Bruce goes to somewhere. This is the weird part. He goes to, it's Crime Alley. So that's how Catwoman finds him, because she knows that he goes to Crime Alley 2 times a night.
And he's really struggling with himself, because like he just had another episode where Zur&R is speaking to him. Like when Dick and Tim are getting arrested, Zur&R's like, let them do it. Be the better Batman. You don't need them. They're criminals now. They're all his worst thoughts and impulses going on. Yeah. So Selina confronts him, but we don't get any words out of Selina, because the book jumps back to Vandal Savage at the end. And Vandal Savage is the only narration we get in this book. And Vandal Savage seems like he's talking to somebody specific. I just can't figure out who it is. And it almost seems like it's... because at the end of the issue...
No, there's no way. It seems like it's Jason Todd, but Jason Todd's not at the top of the tower that he meets his daughter at the end. But he's like, I was denied over thousands of years. The stones were forced apart. Then you get a thing where like he's talking to his daughter in real time, whenever this was, right? Mm. And then he says, but it's a brand new world. And then you turn the page, and like there's no dictation to say that he's talking to his daughter or anybody. anybody for that reason.
I guess he could just have like a journal-esque narration.
Yeah. So anyway, so Catwoman shows up. What I think what's happening with the Catwoman thing is I think she's realizing she's being played, and I think she's going.
She is being played.
I think she's going to Batman to go. Listen, I done goofed. You probably knew I done goofed already, but I done goofed, and I need help. And then Dick and everybody else is gonna go. Oh, we were wrong. And that's going to be a real feel-bad moment for me when I'm reading this book. It's when the whole Bat family realizes that they were wrong the whole time,
Yeah.
The only thing they can be right about is that Bruce is off the deep end. But, I think as Batman, it takes a certain kind of mentality to take care of a situation sometimes. So I can't beat up Batman for, driving himself into being Zur-En-Arrh and stuff like that. And I think there isn't a lot of appearances of Zur-En-Arrh here, but I don't think it's necessary because Chip's trying to do something interesting where he's trying to show us that Batman is he's slowly sliding into it.
Yes.
And Zur-En-Arrh's
in control, but whenever Batman is
being real Batman.
When he's that Tower of Babel.
Altruist. I know what's right and the rest of you are wrong.
Yeah. That's when Zur-En-Arrh speaks to him, and he kind of is now letting it happen.
But it's shining through anyway.
Yeah.
And what's more interesting, too, is most of this book doesn't have any narration from Batman, which is pretty rare.
Right.
Especially considering how many issues of Chips and Darcy's narration we've been getting. And I noticed at the end we get a little of it right before Catwoman walks in.
Right.
But this whole issue, the reason why there isn't a lot of narration is because Chip doesn't want you knowing what's going on in Bruce's brain. He wants you speculating what is going on in Bruce's brain. Is this Zur-En-Arrh or is this Bruce? We don't know until the end of the issue. We find out it is Bruce, but he's having trouble still.
Yeah.
He's losing his ability to determine what's important to him, which only really oversells that Belen Ortega ending issue.
Oh, yeah.
2 issues ago where his whole family was on fire at the end of the issue and stuff. Everybody but him,
Yep. And then the real end of this issue is Vandal Savage is now the leader of a League of Shadows, and it's comprised of all of Catwoman's guys.
Yeah.
So she really has just created a better criminal.
Yeah.
And Vandal Savage needs this stone thing that's the same as the Lazarus Pit, 'cause it's what keeps him alive, and he's dying or something.
Yeah. All right, let's look at these notes. What do you got, Chris? What do you think of this issue, man? Thought it was all art. I thought there was a lot of story I could have gone without, but I thought the art was really good.
I really liked the story in this book, but I really had to separate it from Gotham War, which is hard to do because this is part 4 of Gotham War.
Quite literally, yeah. It's quite literally.
So, but I opened this book, I've kind of I didn't even bother with Catwoman 3, so I don't even really care about this ongoing story.
No, I didn't read Catwoman either.
And I can almost picture in my head that Dick and Bruce are fighting over something more meaningful, and then if I do, this book is really fucking good. Because there's a lot of cool beats. When the back computer is shutting down, the password is the oath Dick and Bruce said.
If only that was what was going on, right? If only this was an actual crazy lost at Bruce Wayne that Dick had to go and actually put down.
And this
would have been a really good story.
That's the problem with this story is I believe Bruce is off, but he's not that off because he's right.
And I'm on his team, by the way. I'm still on Batman's team.
This isn't a Civil War scenario where one person, they both have arguable sides.
Yeah,
it's really leaning towards Batman.
I'd say that you're right if Bruce hasn't been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
And, there's no way he hadn't thought of trying to do something like this.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think Bruce is the only one with the correct position.
Yeah, correct. He's definitely.
I feel like I don't see anyone who would have maybe for a second, but these books just want you to believe that Bruce is the only right answer, basically, and that everyone is kind of acting out of emotional impulse. And again, Tim Drake, I just don't buy that. He's always been the logical detective character. I guess we're going away from that. We've talked about that a bunch. So
and where's Duke, man? And Barbara's smart, and this doesn't make any sense.
Dick is incredibly intelligent too. We kind of brush over that sometimes because he's not as brooding and calculating. But Chris, he's an incredible intellect.
Remember when we were doing Daredevil, and it was they were on the island, and I kept telling you. Chip doesn't know how to write Spider-Man, even though he's written, Life Story, even though he's written What If. For some reason, he still doesn't understand how to write Spider-Man.
You don't think he knows how to write Nightwing?
No. I think that like Chip actually has a functional problem writing characters somehow.
Okay.
Because how inconsistent is his Spider-Man?
I don't know.
Okay, how inconsistent is his Nightwing? How inconsistent is his Catwoman? How consistent is his Batman? How consistent is his Daredevil? It's like the guy knows his guys, right? Like, knows his guys. And then all of the surrounding characters, he's like one of those readers that's like, oh, I don't read Nightwing comics.
Yeah.
I only read Batman comics.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for now because this is a team effort. And we have to remember that and have to remember who this team is and remember that they can bring down the story.
Note that Teenie Howard has no credits on this book, though.
No actual credits. This is their story. They have to like talk this over, figure it out as a group.
You know, usually I agree with you, but usually in these events where it's like a crossover, usually it's both authors get the name on their title.
Okay.
This is Chip's got no Catwoman thing, and Teeny's got no Batman thing. And I bet that Catwoman book feels like it's written by Teenie Howard.
I'm sure.
And I know that this book feels like it's written by Zdarsky. So
I'm saying no. I think his voice for Nightwing is good, minus what he's actually doing.
Don't you think he could have justified it better using his own ability to write characters instead of making him seem like a literal bitch, like a Karen level Mary to this Batman bitch?
Sure, I just don't. No, honestly, I don't think Dick would ever do this. I feel like even in White Knight, I hate how Dick is characterized.
I'm not trying to say we both know he'd never do something like this.
Yeah,
we both know that.
I don't think you could justify it.
But I'm trying to figure out why Zdarsky is trying to say, like, this is swallowable, keep reading my Batman book.
I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to explain is, like, this man has done this before. And it wasn't because he was teaming up with somebody that was telling him to write the characters different. It's because this man has trouble writing characters consistently. And I don't know why. Yeah. And I can't explain it to you. But I can cite references. I can cite that, like, Spider-Man showed up in Daredevil's apartment, like, breaking and entering to yell at the dude, and then apologize to him, like, issues later. And that was a totally different character than the Spider-Man I read through Life Story, who was amicable and nice and civilized and caring and, like, the best of us. Two different Spider-Mans.
I think that is just how you write characters in different books, though. I feel like
Spider-Man is... If it's like a character like Superman, you're taking to like an Elseworlds book or something, yeah. But Superman's the Boy Scout. You write him somewhere, you better be the Boy Scout. You might not be like, I'm gonna leave Earth, become a Power Ranger. Like, there's consistency, and then there's... I know you're trying to defend your boy. I think you need to drop defending him on this one. I don't know what's happening. There's no reason to explain it, you know? Like you said, there's no justification for any of this, other than trying to say it's Teenie Howard's fault when she's not even on the book.
Yeah, whatever.
It ain't Jimenez, because he's the one why I'm still reading this book. His art is incredible. His usage of panels, his usage of borders, his usage of setting, even. Like, he somehow sold to me that Batman was functional after dropping down 5 stories and bumped into a car. Like, and I could keep reading the book. I don't know. I don't think I might have put this book down if this was somebody.
If this was Mike Hawthorne still.
Fucking ridiculous. You can't do that. A physical human being would have turned into street pizza on some level.
I don't think Batman is a physical human being.
I don't know.
Straight up.
What he is.
And especially when Chip is writing him. Dude survived the moonfall. I don't give a shit where he falls from.
I hope we get to issue 1. Yeah, but he was thrown out of a window. He survived a moonfall by, like, thinking about it, being strategic. And it's fiction. Dude, I agree with you. I don't think that should have worked. But he wasn't planning to fall out of a window.
Yeah.
And Batman is a man who, if he's got a plan, he's going to win. That's his whole thing, right? What happens when he doesn't have a plan? He gets shot by Darkseid.
Yeah.
He gets sent into the past and has to travel back to the future. Like, it never pans out for anybody. So, alright, you know, whatever. Zdarsky's writing, I'm still reading this book, and it's still making it onto this show.
Yeah.
Which says a lot. Like, I have a lot of room, we both have a lot of room for,
we didn't talk about Detective Comics last week.
I guess.
And
yeah, that book was okay.
Yeah, so there's a certain extent where, like, this book is still keeping up its quality in a way, like, a book that the detective is usually better.
You know what exactly it is. Well, it's Jorge Jimenez over Dustin Nguyen.
Sure.
And I don't mean to like berate either of those guys.
No, we really like Nguyen. He just wasn't a right fit for that.
You need to place your artists in the right places. That's all. Yeah, there are a lot of powerful moments in here too, like powerful moments between Dick and Bruce, between Bruce and Jason, between Damian and Bruce, between Catwoman and Bruce, between Catwoman and her crew. Just a bunch of moments that really make the rest of the series, probably. Yeah. We're probably going to be referencing this specific issue for a couple issues.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, devoid from this conflict, there's a lot of really good emotional beats here. I just have to, like, almost convince myself that something more dire is happening.
Yeah.
And that the reason Dick is fighting Bruce because Bruce killed a man or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd say that the Bat Fam are acting strange, and it will really please me if somehow this spans out a detective as the entire Bat Fam and Catwoman got juiced by the arson and are all under the impression that Batman's some sort of bad guy.
And it's possible because one beat we haven't touched on is during the Vandal Savage flashbacks, we see the lady from Detective, like the head arson who had that weird stone in her head.
Yeah.
She totally has a cameo in this book where that's why Vandal Savage went there. He needs like these stones to help him stay alive or something.
Yeah, and let me make a note too that that beat, it was one panel. I'll pull it up. It was one panel, and it was an art dictation, nothing word related. Yeah. So Chip, Ram, the editors, maybe even Matthew Rosenberg, and all the DC Batman guys are talking to each other. So much so that either the editor or Chip or Ram talked to Jimenez to tell Jimenez to show one panel in this whole book that this man is dictating very well, and like that panel looked exactly like the woman in Detective Comics.
And
like,
now,
line for line, he's copying Ivan Heiss. For that, because there's literally nothing to show you this these are the same character, but these are two very specific images that look so similar to each other that you can make that tie really quickly.
And now, until a beat turns in Detective, I'm not unconvinced that Vandal Savage showed up in that book to lead to this story. Just because this is where Vandal Savage is doing stuff right now. He's not doing anything in Detective.
And it was seamless.
We have like a vague threat of him doing something. This is probably what his plan's been.
And it was seamless in Detective. It seemed like part of the Detective storyline that was going to pan out in Batman.
It made me like... I really appreciate it as a reader because it was something I was interested in that showed up somewhere else. Like I
made this book a lot more rewarding.
Yes.
But now we got to give credit to Detective Comics for making this more readable. Thanks, Ram V, for keeping things consistent and interesting for us. Because without you, we'd have less to talk about in our Chip Zdarsky book. But there's a lot of payoffs in here, and I think that's why the book ended up on the show, is because it's a consistent continuation of the nonsense they've been throwing at us, more or less. At least they're being consistent and showing us, like, Dick didn't change his mind between two issues. He's still being an ignorant bitch.
No, and, like, also, we have, like, a lifeline now where they are wrong. We're going to start moving past this thing. Yeah. And, like, maybe someone will admit they're wrong. Maybe we'll learn Catwoman said... I don't know. We could find something out later on that makes us all justifiable. But now we're moving past this direction. I'm excited to read Batman again.
Yeah, speaking of Catwoman, I feel like this is a woman that every time Jimenez or Zdarsky puts her in a panel, she's got a different face.
Yes.
What I mean by that is, like, she is such a ever-changing character. I can't stress that enough. Even in the history of Catwoman, with like the Batman '66 show, and like Frank Miller's Catwoman compared to the Batman animated series version of Catwoman. There have been so many iterations. This is such a changing character that utilizing that aspect of her is kind of creative in a way.
Yeah.
And she really does change on the beat. If she sees a situation going badly for her, she'll turn it around so fast. And that's one of her best traits, I'd say, too. So she's sensing this going south, and she's going to Batman first. And that's proper. And so the ending of this book felt good, too. And I don't know where it's going with Vandal Savage, but I'm a fan of that character. So like they're further selling me on this. And as much as they're steering us away, they're steering us back in.
Yes. As a reader, they're steering us back and they're steering away from the story.
It's pretty. No, they're steering me as a reader both away and into the book.
Oh, okay.
I'm like disinterested in the main plot and way more interested in what's going to come after. Which was the same thing that was happening during Failsafe. Me and you were like, this is okay, but Zur-En-Arr is coming, right? And we're still not deep into Zur-En-Arr. We still haven't seen that multiverse.
Honestly, I've been fucking waiting for... I kind of miss Failsafe now. I thought that was a fun story. Jimenez was on art. Cool shit was happening.
Yeah, started it in a huge high fiction, high like technology kind of basis. We've broken it down to a more street level Batman story, which is exactly what I look for usually.
No, same. I just thought the story was better,
So
even if it's not what I'm looking for.
We've kind of ripped Batman apart in that way, if you think about it, though, because we started, like, high fiction, let's rip that off of Batman. All right, we'll do multiverse stuff, we'll rip that off of Batman. All right, what's he down to once we rip all these things off of him? All right, some bare bones, his characters. Okay, let's rip his characters from him and see what's left. Like, Zdarsky's just trying to, like, get this guy down to next to nothing so that he can break him in half and pull out Zur-En-Arrh for maybe 10 issues or something. Cause a real problem in Gotham. Give Dick a real reason to get involved.
City of Zur-En-Arrh.
I swear we saw an Azrael panel somewhere inside of Batman or Detective.
It is Detective, because I just saw Ram V show, like, a big Azrael panel, like he's in Batman gear again. They're doing something with that character.
That's going to come around, and it's going to be good, because we have some good writers. Azrael's a great character that's written by somebody competent.
Yep.
And there's a couple other beats in here that we didn't talk about. There's a Riddler thing where the Riddler is Batman, oh Batman, beware. There's a new player in your game. His canvas was once stone, and and he defies the dirt. I thought it might be Superman. I'm sure I'm wrong.
I think it's Man of Savage.
Made of stone. He was once stone.
Stone Age.
And he defies the dirt. He's longer.
He's immortal.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. Nice, Chris. I'm glad I wrote this down. I think we solved the riddle. There was a point in here where there was a POW, like a POW onomatopoeia, and it had dropped all of the background, but inside of the onomatopoeia was the background.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Menace was killing it. I'm pulling that page up. It's really good. We mentioned that there's no Batman narration, or almost no Batman narration. It's very important. Talked about Vandal Savage a bit, and that he's been orchestrating this whole thing from Detective Comics 4 months ago.
Yeah. Also,
absolutely wild how the editors have been planning this whole thing. It's crazy.
Also, this Marquise character is like his daughter, so he's been planting that seed with her too. So, like, even without us knowing, Vandal Savage has been
must have been the Catwoman book even. So that's tying together with everything. Artisan's Grandma we mentioned, and that's about it for my notes and stuff. I thought the book was really good. I just think that they're, just like usual, there's a couple beats that are taking me out of the story.
No, same. But I would say to end this, I recommend Batman 138. I don't recommend reading Gotham War. If there's a trade of Gotham War, skip that shit. Just read the Batman stuff.
Should you read this comic? It is the best Batman book on the wall this week.
Yep.
It's consistent. Jorge Jimenez, one of the best artists in comics at the moment, probably.
Right.
He knows how to ape some of the greatest people that have come before him.
Even if Chip has some character problems, he's hitting some real emotional highs throughout the story.
Very important beats that are going to be paid off later. There's a lot of setup. It's a very good, like, if this were a TV show, I think this would be a great episode, you know?
I think as a run, too. If, like, in 10 years this all pays off, I feel like this is going to go down like butter.
This could be... Chip could really pull this out if he's just like, it was all a dream. This was all in your head. Zur-En-Arrh's been walking around for the past, like, 2 months, and this is what you've been amalgamating everything as, or everybody got hit with the arson, and although they were not infected as the Bat Fam, it's affecting their judgment. There's a lot of ways he could play himself out.
Again, we've talked about the Daredevil comparisons. I think there are issues of Daredevil and stories of Daredevil which are similar quality to this, but as a run, I think that is a very rewarding and well worth reading book.
Yeah.
So I feel like the same thing will happen with Batman when it's done.
Yeah.
And they both have the suit. Like, Marco and Jimenez, up here and here for me. They're 1 and 2. I don't even know how to rank them.
You know what was never paid off that still bothers me in the Daredevil run, though?
Goldie.
Pertaining to what we're talking about.
Okay.
Spider-Man.
No. I think that's just an 80s Spider-Man. I've read...
Spider-Man sees
some stuff.
Sees Daredevil die in the snow.
Oh, fucking right.
And, Chris, this is why, like, this dude doesn't know how to... Chip! You need to learn to write your characters, bud. Spider-Man's not the type who's not going to go and, like, figure out what happened to Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
He knows him as Matt Murdock. He saw him die in the snow. We get no funeral. We get no comeuppance to that.
Yeah.
Spider-Man book's not tying into Daredevil. Those editors don't care about that shit. Like, nothing from that. Thanks for, consistent characters, everybody. All right, we'll move on. I'm going to keep on being mad at this guy if I keep thinking about this stuff. We got something epic. Me and Chris got the same cover. Chris is a fan of Walking Dead, so I just kind of pulled in the Walking Dead homage cover.
Yep.
I don't think you're mad about it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Might I add, it's done by Simon Kudransky.
Right, it kind of looks like Adlar. He's like doing that ink thing with the cheeks. That's what I always think of as an Adlar mark.
He is homaging that dude quite well.
Yeah. It looks better than his art too. It looks like a Simon Krasinski piece inked by Charlie Adlard.
Yeah, that's accurate. Krasinski is killing it, man. You're talking about like Chip and Jorge and Tommy Moret, which I should throw the colorist on.
Oh, they're doing a great job.
Great job.
They've been doing a great job forever. There's some pages in Joker War that like were phenomenal, and it was all the color too.
Yeah. Really good job from Tommy Moret. But anyway, something epic. This dude doesn't need a colorist; he's doing it all himself.
Yep.
So this summary, to be quick, starts out. We got dude is about to walk into. Oh no, he's already walked into the thing. He's in. So we skipped an issue, right? So I'm gonna not summarize that issue. I hope you guys are reading something epic so you can keep along with us. It's really good. He's in the realm of dreams and imagination. He's at the epicenter of it. Our main character, who I still don't remember. Oh, Dan. His name is Dan. So Dan's in the epicenter of it, and as soon as he walks in, things start going bad. His emotions have been so driven into the back of him for so long that this level of creativity that he's being introduced to is allowing his emotions to come to the forefront, take over on some level. So it ruins the epicenter of imagination, and basically like a virus starts spreading out from there. Things start going crazy. Again, this is a world of imagination. There's no rules. So you can, like, as an artist, you can pull whatever you want out of this. We got giant zombies, like giant evil demon zombies. We've got like characters, like villain characters that look like they're characters from other comics that can't copyright properly, like flying around and stuff.
Yeah.
We've got all of the like theoretical good, play by the rules, like good imagination characters being like destroyed and killed and stuff by all these evil things. And the people that run Imagination Land, for a lack of a better term here, are trying to keep things under control. They have their own like Justice League, which is cool.
Yeah.
Who shows up and they try and
Oh,
fight.
that guy killed me. We'll get to him in a second.
And they get murked real fast by the unknown influence that is what I'm going to describe as self-hate and self-depreciation. Which is basically what's now infecting imagination. And this is one of the cooler concepts of the book, is that something epic is really trying to tackle subjects, not as much as it's trying to tackle comics. And trying to tackle subjects in comics without getting too political or religious is skill.
Yeah.
And he does get a little religious in here, but he does step away from it pretty often, which is nice.
Yeah.
And in this case, he doesn't really do a whole lot of religion. Instead, he's really making a comment about how, as a race, now that we're not hunters and gatherers, we focus on a lot of different things we may not have been supposed to have been focusing on to begin with. Most of that is based in creativity, which brings a lot of self-doubt just because of what's expected of yourself when you create something. Self-doubt eats away at us, and as humanity, as a person, as people as a whole, self-doubt is eating at all of us. And since we're talking about collective unconsciousness in this book, if self-doubt is eating at all of us, it's part of our collective unconsciousness. Yeah. So now this is creeping into Imagination Land and is causing all types of problems, destroying creativity, destroying good emotions, destroying the things that make us humans and give us community and stuff. This is weird, like, highly relative things. I feel like this book came out of Simon Krasinski's, like, hate of COVID on some level. Like, COVID brought us to our, like, basis, our worst parts, where we couldn't become a community and couldn't help each other out, and as a world had to isolate. And this is what happens when that happens, is the self-doubt starts spreading like wildfire and killing people quite literally. The one thing they do mention in here is that this won't affect the real world yet. Yes. Is that it is mostly contained to those imagination and epics that are keeping things going. And then we get a cut away to other epics that exist in the universe, which might be where this book is going after this first story arc.
Right, because we're continuing. We're about to end this story that we've been telling, but there's more issues to come.
And this kind of feels, and I think I made this comparison before, kind of feels like Yu Yu Hakusho, right? Like, we're setting up...
Yeah, I got big shonen vibes from this.
We're setting up what our basis for our characters and who their story and influences are, and then in the next arc, we're going to the Dark Tournament. We're meeting Hiei, we're kicking Kitsugoro's ass. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe there's going to be like something epic tournament battle or something like that. I would love to see Simon Krasinski just draw a bunch of cool shit for 7 issues.
Honestly, like, that's the one thing after watching a bunch of anime, I'm just like, why don't they do tournament arcs? I just want to read a fucking tournament arc.
You should go, did you read Robin?
Oh, yeah.
That book was so fun, man. That was like my favorite Williamson book I think he's ever done. He just brought a bunch of manga to Robin. It was like, I'm just going to write this how I want. Nobody said anything about it. That is and it's one of the most un-Batman Batman books there is out there. He's truly away from the entire Bat fam. He like goes and hangs out with his grandfather. They have like a montage, a training montage. All right, back to something epic. Sorry, Simon Kudransky, I didn't mean to go away from your awesome piece of fiction here. But to close this out, everything's going badly, and for lack of a better word, our main character's fictional love interest gets killed.
Yeah.
Or so we're led to believe, and this causes him to kind of lose his crap in the best way. He starts like feeling like he needs to take power over and control over what's going on. And then he loses it all over again, like in a moment after that.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? No, my girl is dead, and this is going crazy, and I don't know what to do. And then the old man who's been driving us through this entire 7 issues comes in, and I think his name is Al, right?
Yep.
Al's like, listen, dude, I know you can do this because you made me. And then the book ends, kind of a cheesy ending.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what like that's supposed to mean. Maybe that he's such a dependable creator that he created something to drive him to do this before his existence somehow.
I don't know.
You know? I don't know. There's a book called Origins. Going off the top, I know too many comics. There's a book called Origins. It's made by way too many people. There's like 20 names on this book.
Okay.
It's one 6-issue story though, and it's really good. It's about what if like a bunch of robots took over, but they didn't take over because they were evil. They took over because humanity killed itself. There's nothing but service bots left over. And this dude wakes up and he finds out that he's like some sort of like messiah to these service robots. But he has to be brought across worlds so he can go to this location so he can continue to do his work as messiah. So he's been given a bodyguard, and the bodyguard has to get him to this location.
Is this another robot, or is this like the last universe?
We find out later, at the end of the story, there's a reveal that talks about the bodyguard, but you're in the right direction. And there's an even bigger reveal to like give more weight to that bodyguard, which is really good. And the whole story is really interesting, and it pans out to where, like, not to destroy the ending of this too much, but our main character becomes the reason the main character has a reason to be the main character to begin with, if that makes any sense. It's self-creation. It's like that episode of Futurama where Fry goes back in time, becomes his own grandfather. Oh, it's like you created yourself on some level. That's what I was expecting at the end of this, too. I was expecting the old man to go, I know you can do this because I'm you. From the future, you know, and why not? It's something epic. Let's go there. Right?
Yep.
But
maybe that is what Al is, but like a very metaphysical version. Like
Yeah,
Al is. He's not his mentor. He's his idea of himself. In the future.
That's
this
very
is like his ideal version.
It's very possible. Yeah. Do you think I missed anything in the summary here, Chris?
No, there's just some like
fresher in your beat here. I wanted to say this whole book is drawn in reds and blues. It starts in blues and it ends in reds.
And only our character Dan, when he like powers up and is like about to get ready to do something.
Positive moments in blues, negative moments in reds. Very basic. You know, you could do this with black and white, but it's a comic, so why not throw some color at this thing? And I don't know that there's any other color other than blues and reds throughout the whole comic book, which is really interesting. And I can't stress enough. This man is doing his own book. He's writing, he's drawing it, he's doing the whole thing. He can do it however he wants, and selling us some images on reds and blues and stuff like that is not a bad idea. It really gets his point across. What else we got? What did you write down, Chris?
One of the things we talk about when we begin this book, this is something Simon Kudransky does a lot that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
He talks about a real-world concept that relates to the story we're about to tell. In this issue, he talks about Stendhal syndrome, which is this idea that sometimes a work of art has such emotional quality that it causes, like, a heart attack or something.
Physical response.
A physical response. And I just thought, like, it was a really good tone setter. He does this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these things that give this book an air of, like, otherness almost.
Yeah.
It feels literary. This is one of those books I could give to, like, my English teacher or something and be like, this was a work of art.
Yeah.
It has comic art in it. So this is a book that is talking about the human condition.
Yeah.
It's talking about what it means to be creative in any capacity.
Yeah.
I would give this to people who don't even like comics.
Yeah.
Just because, like, this is a book which has a lot to talk about, a lot that anyone can relate to.
Yeah.
And the other major theme in this book, when Dahlia, his, like, imaginary love interest character, is dying, he talks about the human condition a little bit and, like, what's going on with Dan. And that's how, again, going back to that hunter-gatherer thing, because we've settled down, we have time to, like, take time to appreciate people and love them. And because of that, like, it, like, destroys us, basically. It's like a self-destructive prophecy, almost. Like,
Yeah.
because we love people, we end up feeling the absence of their love.
And this is
that's why Dan kind of, like, lets her go, is because she says this.
Well, this is a comment coming from a fictional character, too,
yes.
which is interesting perspective on reality.
Right, and like how she gained this is just watching people at Dan's house after he left. People who weren't epics, who weren't as creative. What do they stress over? What do they
what is
do in their free time?
Yeah, what is normal life to a person of fictional lives and stuff. So again, really interesting concepts. Based on what Chris was talking about at the beginning of this book, the like theme that they're tackling is, can art be dangerous?
Yeah.
Which is a hilarious tagline for this whole issue, because things really get crazy.
Yeah.
And it's all technically art. But the answer is yes. Obvious yes. Obvious yes. I can't stress how much... and you can call almost anything art as long as it was created.
Yeah.
And so there are so many... There are almost everything you look at is created and is influencing the real world we live in.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a silly question, even. Of course art can be dangerous.
Swordsmanship is an art. Or blacksmithing is an art, I should say.
Like, in a more literal context, it can be dangerous. Even in a less literal context, it can be dangerous. I feel like the book V for Vendetta is like a perfect example, you know? Like, that is a book that has influenced countless people to be more revolutionary than they ever have been. That one, like, internet, where's the Guy Fieri masks, or not Guy Fieri, you know what I'm talking about, the Guy Fawkes masks. He's a very influential English book, and so, you know, art can definitely be dangerous, and that's a great way to open this book up. Is, can art be dangerous? He shows you it can by the end of the issue.
And like each of these books, it's an overarching theme, but they each tackle an individual theme too, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Knowing how something works doesn't mean we understand it. Right. Yet another great lesson from this one single issue $4 comic book. You know, I don't need to beat that one up. I'm sure you as a human being, and me and Chris for sure, you know, we know how you know, New York Comic Con works. We don't necessarily understand it.
No.
But you know, that wasn't meant to be funny. But that's a really good theme that you could play on throughout this entire book, because they might know how the imagination works, but man, does that thing run itself. You go to sleep and you have nightmares and dreams you never came up with on your own.
Yeah.
It's a wild concept that humans have. Spider-Man. I'm just going into my next note. How about Spidey and Human Torch, huh?
Oh, yeah.
There was a page, man, this was really outside of the rest of this book, but like, I think Drew Dansky threw this in here because it's tough to draw and write the seriousness constantly. There's a page in here where our character up front, who's part of our crew that Dan is part of, that's trying to save the world, I guess, or something. Up front is like beating up some big zombie dudes and stuff like that. And there's this little like white chibi, like Princess Mononoke looking thing hanging out.
Frowny face on it.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, dude, can't you help out?" And the little chibi-looking thing like turns into a giant werewolf creature, eats the evil demon thing, and then up front's like, "Man, that was sweet. This is a team up, just like that guy Spidey and the Torch, right?"
Yeah.
And like he's quipping through the whole page, just like Spider-Man.
Oh, this character also, he's our levity character.
He's quick, but like not just that, like he's like Kudranski's leading us to the assumption he makes at the end of that page. He's quipping, and I'm like, you're 6, 7, 8 pages into this dark-ass book, and he's sitting here quipping. You're like, this is just like Spider-Man. And then he gets to the bottom, and he's like, yeah, we're supposed to be Spider-Man. It's like, wow, man, you nailed it. Absolutely
he looks like the kind of like character of an 8-year-old would come up out of his imagination after having read like a Spider-Man or watched a Spider-Man, like trying to come up with his own hero.
Yeah.
He very much has that kind of
especially if they play Fortnite and they play Spider-Man in Fortnite. It looks like one of those ridiculous, like, I've got a block on a head and a human body, you know, like those Banana Man characters and stuff. Fortnite's got a lot of weird designs. I can talk about that, though. So there's some really dope monsters, dope designs. They talk about nightmares, dreams, imagination, emotion, talking about how art can be dangerous, and you know, just because you know how something works doesn't mean you understand it. There's a lot of lessons to be taken from this. There's a lot to be taken out of it. And the art, like, just as a regular comic book, it's sweet.
Yeah.
They're battling self-destruction. As a comic book creator, you're constantly judging the stuff that you're being pumped out as becoming published and stuff like that. What a man to tackle a subject other than a comic book creator. In Japan, comic book creators kill themselves when they're unsuccessful. This is like a trait to like friggin' comic creators in Japan. Like, So battling self-destruction is something that all comic book creators have to do. This man is doing it in real time in front of us while we can watch it. That's pretty cool. Pretty brave of you, Kurdansky. Thanks for watching our show, too. We'll not talk about that. All right, you got anything else on this, Chris?
Juggling styles, there's a couple. We break to the real world.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You can see some new style characters. I always mention that they're great. He draws like a shoujo style.
Yeah,
character.
his versatility is incredible.
Yeah.
This man, wow, this really could do whatever he wants in comics. And I'm so thrilled. Whoever gave at Image, if it's Kirkman or McFarlane or whoever it is, whoever gave this man the go ahead to go and do this comic, man, we owe you one.
Yeah.
That about beat that one up, Chris?
Yeah.
Moving on to the Joker, the man who stopped laughing.
Number 11.
I hope you've got a summary for this one.
Oh, I do.
All right, great. It's okay if it's half-assed.
Okay.
It's fine. Oh yeah, covers. Yeah, here's a cover. Woo,
Boom.
covers. Okay.
Carmine DiGiomenico doing a great job.
Yeah, I got the Marco Maestrazzo cover. I always get the variants. They're always wacky Joker radness. So, the regular cover is fine too. They're the exact same price, might I add.
Yeah.
$6 book. Mind you, I don't think me or Chris has ever mentioned how pricey this book is every week.
No.
Because
There's always content. This is the only book which I actually bought for the backup. I was just so excited to see Francavilla. And, I get excited to see these backups. Even when Chip was doing them, I wasn't excited for them.
We gotta stop calling them backup.
Yeah, because it became part of the story.
It wasn't even... That's, somehow... Rosenberg sold us on a backup that wasn't a backup.
Yep.
So technically,
and
he's been selling us on the main story the whole time.
Yes.
Wild.
And even, beats that weren't paid off are kind of paid off, because, Gaggy and Jackanapes are constantly mentioned in this book. Those are characters, I can't tell you how little I've heard about them until the Three Jokers and then this.
Yeah.
These are, almost completely forgotten parts of Joker history that he has re-cemented and then made part of the Joker's language as a character.
Yeah.
So, this book, I'm going to broad from summarize and then get into some specific
Chris.
The two Jokers are preparing to fight each other finally.
I disagree. I think more accurately, the two Jokers are preparing to cause a lot of chaos.
Okay.
Because they haven't coordinated a battle place or time or where or when or how.
Gotham Joker, LA Joker are both trying to get the one-up on one another to start a conflict, and they both keep missing each other and ruining each other's plans.
And they're both trying to prove to everyone else that they're the real Joker.
Yes. And it's really interesting.
It's hilarious.
It is. And... the book begins with part of Joker's Gotham Joker, Scar Joker.
Yeah, all this book is a series of one-ups, right? It's almost consistently one-upping each other.
And there was a decent joke of Star. I actually didn't write it down this time, but it always starts with
It's okay. Joke. It's like there's a guy who walks into the office and he wanted to get away clean, so he stole the janitor.
Oh, yeah. I think that's funny. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. Just as funny as the rest of the stuff. The best joke in this whole issue is Killer Moth didn't want to go out in the rain.
That's not my favorite.
That is so funny! Come on!
My favorite is how all the villains leave Joker. They all call in with an excuse. And they're all I also didn't write down what they said, but I almost wish I did, because they're all funny. Yeah. It's like KGB sent you an invoice.
Well, it's one guy. It's one of Joker's crew, and he's reporting to the Joker. Who we think is the actual Joker, the LA Joker.
LA Joker.
And he's like, it's, the best line was, KGB sent you an invoice, and it says something about,
hilarious incompetence or something.
Yeah, maybe even bodily distortion or something. There's an extra charge for bodily distortion or something like that. There's jokes in every crevice of this, in the panels and the words and everything.
Punny jokes, morbid jokes, all kinds of jokes. All the kinds of jokes Joker would tell, actually. There's not I don't know. All the jokes are in fitting with his character, I feel like. They're either morbid or puns, so they're not I don't know what a point I'm trying to get across. So I'll leave that behind.
And let me start out by saying this book begins right after the last book ended. Joker just finished reading a comic book.
Yes.
That he's very pleased with, right? And so now he's under the impression that the comic book he read, which is not the comic book the kid was reading, but the comic book that he read somehow in his brain while he's reading the comic book the kid was reading, is a comic book about how he turned somebody else into the Joker by accident and then used that person as the Joker for a while, but then people got confused and couldn't tell which Joker was which. And now he's one of the people that's confused but is more confident that he is the Joker. And so now he's got to go out and prove that he's the Joker.
More or less.
More.
Gotham Joker is gathering people who kind of look like him for some reason. Cut ahead. LA Joker is burning down his warehouse. He's found out where his thing is.
Yeah.
Turns out Gotham Joker's in there. Gotham Joker's at LA Joker's warehouse. Kills his minions.
The other Joker's doing the same thing.
Yes.
It's just a series of one-ups. One Joker takes down the other one's warehouse, then that Joker takes down the other one's warehouse, and it all starts by the Gotham Joker landing a subway train off the rails and setting a fire.
Yeah,
and
because he's naked. He's walking naked across the tracks.
That's where he was running around naked. Yeah. In the fire, we're told via the news. And then, LA Joker shows up and finds the naked Joker, and it's not the real Joker, but he says it's not the real fake Joker, and it confuses the person he's talking to.
Also,
there's a bunch of great jokes in there about who's the real Joker.
Gotham Joker doesn't set LA Joker's thing on fire. He leaves a Joker with a bomb in him, and it blows up his place.
Well, yeah. When they get back there, there's it's in the. Oh no. So they're not even. No. You got things a little messed up. So they're still at the fire.
Okay.
Where the subway fire. And the Joker has a bomb in him. The naked Joker has a bomb in him. It explodes there, and then Killer Moth pulls LA Joker out real quickly. All of his goons die.
Yes.
Presumably.
But Mr. Waffles is still around. That's important.
Well, I don't even know how he escaped LA Joker to work with Gotham Joker either. This happened in between panels somewhere that we just didn't care. It was funny enough by itself.
Mr. Waffles is just a funny name that this guy keeps showing up.
So Gotham Joker...
It's like he's died twice.
Gotham Joker goes to blow up the LA Dudes thing while Killer Moth is flying around LA Joker.
And it's either at a different warehouse or his warehouse where Ravager and Manhunter fight him.
Don't even want to get to that. But we are going to get to that. Mr. Waffles thing. Mr. Waffles shows up at that warehouse to tell LA Joker he knows where Gotham Joker is or something like that. But then Gotham Joker is at the LA Joker's place, and Mr. Waffle doesn't recognize the difference at first. Reports to the wrong Joker. The wrong Joker is just like, oh, so you're reporting to the LA Joker now. And they start talking about his loyalties. And then I guess in that conversation we find out that the Gotham Joker is theoretically this guy named Joseph.
His name is John
Kaiser. John Kaiser, which if you take that apart, there's a Joker in that name.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting. And but Gotham Joker doesn't believe him. He thinks that that's the definition of the origin to the other Joker, and he kills Mr. Waffles for being unloyal.
Yes.
I believe.
This is all at the end of the issue, though.
Yes. We also, like Chris was saying, Manhunter's running around with Ravager. They're having a bunch of fun, teaming up, whatever.
They fight Gotham Joker for a second, and they realize it's not the Joker they've been fighting, so they know there's two Jokers.
Red Hood is normally our force in this, and Red Hood's kind of been stripped from this issue, I'd imagine, because Rosenberg understands that he's being kind of called to something else at the moment. Yeah. So Rosenberg, being a smart person, is utilizing characters he's set up already to continue driving the plot forward that Red Hood was probably supposed to be utilizing.
Yeah, and he's supposed to show up.
Very good, Matthew Rosenberg. Very good, man. Chip Zdarsky, you should take a note from Matthew Rosenberg's ability to make up for when things don't go his way. Anyway, so we got all of these characters, great characters I wanted to mention too, characters you don't normally see in a comic book, right? Our main players are LA Joker, Gotham Joker, Red Hood, Manhunter, Weskler, Killer Moth, Ravager, and, what other books are any of these characters even in right now? There's not a lot of Joker stuff, which is fine.
He's going to be in Batman.
There's not a lot of Red Hood stuff, which is fine. There's no Manhunter stuff. There's almost no Wesker stuff, Killer Moth, Ravager, and... these aren't even characters that are normally blended together, and it's doing really well. Outside of Manhunter. Manhunter's the one character that I'm like...
It's a bit of a tough
I don't still really understand where Rosenberg was going with it. But now it's a convenience, because now he has that character to drive that plot forward, so it panned out.
I think that in itself is supposed to be the joke, that Manhunter's the one fighting Joker, I guess. I think it's supposed to be funny. Maybe.
I don't think so. I think Rosenberg has mastered the craft of writing this comic, and his jokes are landing every time. Okay. So I don't think he would write something that might supposed to be funny and not be funny. Cool. The man knows what's funny. Right?
Yeah. I like all his jokes.
So yeah, and I can't stress how much there is really something to laugh at on every panel, every page. Just the way that the Joker even talks to the people that he talks to, specifically the Gotham Joker too. I think it's funnier than the LA Joker.
Yeah.
And that's not supposed to be the real Joker somehow, which is interesting. I'm really interested in seeing this book. What me and Chris were talking about before the show has even started is that we've read 10 issues of this with almost no plot. The plot was there are 2 Jokers.
Yeah.
That's the plot. Now, this issue, it introduces the plot that maybe there's going to be 1 Joker. Maybe there's going to be 1. Maybe there's going to be 20. One of the other things that happens is so Gotham Joker is running around abducting people that look close enough like the Joker, turning their skin white and dosing them with laugh gas. And we find a whole room of these people at his warehouse. But when we see the first one, the naked one that's running around the fired subway, the LA Joker has a line that I thought was funny. He says, where is it? I'm sorry. He goes, well, that's confusing. Because we've had 2 Jokers this whole thing. Now there's a 3rd Joker. So in a way, Matthew Rosenberg is writing the thoughts of the reader as they turn the page, which will only encourage the reader to continue reading because the writer knows what the reader is thinking right now. That says a lot about the writer's capabilities to tell the reader what's going on in his own comic. So, man, I'm really impressed by this title overall. It wasn't like as crazy as the past 10 issues, which is probably why it's like we don't have a lot to talk about.
I mentioned when we were setting up this episode that this one kind of felt like paying the rent a little bit to me, just because we're just paying things off.
It's and I agree, but like the most unrecognizable paying of rent, if that makes any sense. He still had a lot of fun with this issue. Still did a lot of creative things.
Well, yeah, the overall tone of Joker masks whatever writing flaws there are, and I do think there are like a couple. I wouldn't be able to name.
In this case, yes, but I know that sometimes people write the Joker and does the opposite.
Yeah,
it's like the Joker feels so forced. Like Peter Tomasi's done this a couple times. That guy's usually really good at writing characters.
I think Tom King did too. Like that wedding stuff, he was kind of just shoved into.
Yeah, I really like the issue with Catwoman and the Joker, where they're in a church and they're battling, and Joker's trying to be like a bad guy and a good guy at the same time. And he's trying to be like, what the hell are you doing with your life? But also, what are you doing with your life? I
thought that shit was weird.
But it was like what goes on inside of the head of the Joker, and I feel like that's just as fair of an approximation as the narration we've been getting from Matthew Rosenberg.
Sure, yeah.
You know, this is really a wild card of a character. There's a lot of room to do whatever you want with him. To a line, you know, there's a line where if you go over it, you're not the Joker anymore. You're becoming a little bit too dictated, too unchaotic, too villainy, and then that's when it starts leaving that. But this is a perfect version and amalgamation of the Joker. I've never seen it.
I think this is like every Joker. Like Grant Morrison has the idea of like the multi-dimension. I forget exactly what he calls it, but it's like all versions of a character merged into one. Talking about all the gold and silver. This is very much what this Joker is.
Yeah.
Every Joker combined into one.
Yeah. Doing
one character. Almost this does 3 Jokers better than 3 Jokers in that way.
It is, and I'm sure that's where Rosenberg came up with the initial idea here. He's like, yo, let me play on this concept since we're not doing anything with it anyway.
Maybe. That's one thing I've been waiting to maybe be paid off. There's a thing at the start of Chip's Batman, very first issue. There's 3 Jokers in like Batman's Dream. It's never been paid off. It's like a thing he's setting up. So I don't think Rosenberg is going off of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if something ends up.
Facts in the DC universe. It's facts because it came from Metron on Hawk.
Yes,
3 Jokers. So this.
Well, there 2 of them are dead.
The 3 Joker book was a Black Label book.
Okay.
So that is non-canon, non-relevant, didn't happen. So is that what you were quoting in regards to them dying? Yeah, that one's not. That's Jeff Johns having fun with something that was set up prior.
Cool.
But, you know, just because Metron says there's 3 Jokers, who knows what that means? Metron's a confusing, dark, mysterious, I'm not going to give you a straight answer kind of character.
Yeah.
Can mean anything. So it doesn't really matter. I know that excited a lot of people until this day. I think that concept excites a lot of people. So if you can keep playing on a concept that excites people, why not? It's going to drive people to write your book.
Yeah.
Read your book, rather. So it's smart. My last compliment here is on art. There's really creative lines. I think DG Anadomenico is actually getting provided a service here. He's learning a lot more language in art because of how creative and chaotic he's allowed to be with this book.
Yeah.
And since he's done a whole bunch of stuff on Flash, which is a similar art style, he can kind of show all that here, but like keep it in the confines of Gotham City or L.A. or like not the Speed Force or wherever the hell Barry Allen and Wally West might have traveled to. You know, a lot more based in somewhat fictional reality.
Also, besides Something Epic, this is one of the most consistent books on the show.
That was
perhaps the only consistent DC book we've talked about on the show.
Consistent in format, in paneling, in story, in covers, and in writing, and in character. Everything about it. Like when we jump to a new place, there's always the big opening long panel of what place we're in. Exactly
like,
same format.
Russo Brothers-esque.
Yeah, like a TV, television series would do. Those guys come from TV, so that makes a lot of sense.
This book might be ending.
This is the end. This is the last book we're doing here on the show today. So there's a reason for it, and that's because me and Chris can't pick anything out of here that we didn't like, other than maybe Manhunter, and that's just because we don't really know where that's going.
And
but
also,
even we can speculate where that's going, so that's pretty cool.
I think there's something to be said about how enjoyable this book is over Something Epic. Something Epic is, I think it's better, but I think this book is more enjoyable.
Yeah, Something Epic is a lot. It's something that you kind of have to be in the mood for.
Yes.
Whereas, like, Joker...
You just read it. It's enjoyable all the time.
Joker will probably put you in a better mood when you're done reading it. And I remember, like, weeks back, maybe even months back, I was super tired. I had to do our reading for the show today. And I told Chris, like, I've got the Joker, and it reinvigorated me to read because the book is just so darn entertaining. And can I say, like, we were talking about how Hickman fills his panels up with words and stuff. Something Epic does that, but Joker does that too. There's a lot of words in this book for like a character like Joker who can do a bunch of stuff and not do anything. But that's because he's a comedian, and comedy's based in words for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a short read either. It's a decent read, $6 read. There's 30-something pages in here, plenty of art. In this particular issue, there's a lot that goes down. But it is just more entertaining. The pages flip easier. The art is... like panel to panel, nothing gets missed. You're not feeling like he skipped a scene or anything like that. This is the best book this week.
Yep.
Buy this because it's $6 and it's worth it. And you won't be sad, and you will be laughing the whole time. And it's got great covers, and it's by great people.
And it's also probably done. This book ends with a to be concluded. I think I've heard a couple times it was 12 issue. I just didn't believe it because of how the way the book was going.
I think both me and Chris are hoping this doubles to 24. So.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there was an issue of this that we missed on this show, like despite
after we started
or something, you know, as a whole.
Yeah.
That we missed purposely, we should say.
So I think issue 1 and 2 came out before the show. So.
Yeah, that's fair. So read this book, or you know.
Read this book. It'll be in trade soon, too. So you'll be... At least this story will be done, so you can read all 12 issues. Probably be in a nice hardcover or something.
Yeah.
It's totally worth your money.
Pick it up. Support these guys. They're doing a great job. And this colorist, too, is also doing a great job. Fajarado Jr. This is the only book I've ever seen him on, but I'm impressed.
I should mention, I fucking hate they're publishing a Joker book. But this book is just so good, I buy it and enjoy it anyway. I don't think Joker should have a comic book. I think he's a bad character to make a comic about.
Chris didn't bother.
But Matthew Rosenberg is doing a great job.
Yeah, Chris didn't bother to read the James Tynion book.
And that was probably the better James Tynion Batman book.
It was a Commissioner Gordon book.
Yeah.
It should have just been called Gordon, but you can't sell a book on Gordon's last name, so it's not going to work. But can I state that Tynion knows how to write the Joker very well.
I'm sure.
Throughout that whole thing, like, Joker sounded just like this. It was like, he doesn't take any... I don't need to explain the Joker. You guys get it by now. You got anything else here, Chris?
I'm done.
That is it for us this week. If you're going to New York Comic Con, I hope you have a lot of fun. If you see us, hey, say hi. Say you watch the show, all 30 of you. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you when we catch you.
Have a good night.